Everybody, and welcome to Top Comics to Pre-Order in a Flash. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And this is our real quick show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that you can pre-order by this weekend. This gives you the biggest head start so you don't miss out on any of the goodness. There's a lot of really cool and very interesting books this time.
Oh yeah.
You'll see what we're talking about when we get into it. But if you want to, you can follow along at infinityflux.net where you can pre-order all of these books as we go. So let's get into it, starting with
The original X-Men. So we're not quite sure if this is a one-shot or a miniseries. We're going to try to find that out. But this does feature it's another tale of the original 5 X-Men. This time they get caught up in a multiversal mystery, and one hero will remain trapped in the alternate world that they travel to.
Interesting. Next one, we have Star Wars Revelations. So there was one of these last year, but these are kind of like your Marvel timeless books. They're kind of they're stories that set up future stories in their given properties. So this one, you're going to have, of course, stories about Jabba the Hutt, Vader, Keith Trennis from the High Republic. But I think a big one here is Thrawn. We have not got an original story featuring Thrawn because they've all been adaptations
Right.
of the books. So this will have a new Thrawn story in it and just a bunch of surprises for stories coming out next year. So you don't want to miss this one.
Next is Batman number 428, Robin Lives. So this is super cool. Back in 1988, the original Batman number 428 featured the death of Jason Todd after after a 1-900 number was set up where readers could call in and vote on whether he lives or dies. Because DC didn't know which way the votes were going to go, they actually went ahead and made the ending going both ways. Obviously, back then Jason Todd died, but now we're going to see what the story would have been if he had lived, which is going to be really cool. So the first half of the book is going to be mostly the same as the original that came out, but then the last few pages are going to show what it would have looked like if Jason Todd had lived. They're calling this one a faux simile because it has all the original ads and stuff, but a brand new ending. So this should be really
I think this is
cool.
going to be
Yeah,
really cool.
absolutely.
Next up, we have a new book called Invasive. This is by Cullen Bunn, who is a fantastic horror writer. And this sounds really, really creepy, especially if like doctors and surgery and stuff give you the creeps, because it's about an accomplished trauma surgeon who her life goes crazy when her daughter disappears.
Ooh.
And she investigates an underground hospital that has put all of their oaths and taboos and rules aside to do some of the most dangerous and messed up surgeries, and possibly this is where her daughter ended up. So she's gonna have to work to shut them down. Sounds really cool. Sounds really messed up, but perfect from Cullen Bunn.
Next is Titans Beast World Tour Gotham. So this is continuing the series of one-shot tie-ins to the Beast World storyline that just shows what's going on in other cities around the planet. In this one, the shape-shifting spores, which are kind of the crux of the entire Beast World story, they make their way to Gotham, and we're going to get a handful of stories showing what happens with different heroes and villains of Gotham City as they sort of morph into a bestial form.
Very cool. Next up, we have Disney Villains, Cruella de Vil #1. So Dynamite's continuing with their Disney centered storylines, and this sounds really cool. This actually takes place after the events of 101 Dalmatians. Cruella de Vil's her whole persona, her fame, everything has been destroyed because of these allegations of her trying to get these Dalmatian puppies. So she will do whatever she can to get back in the spotlight and get back to her place as the fashion icon. Even if that means doing some pretty dastardly things. So if you're a fan of the character or the movie, I think this will be really fun.
Next is really cool. This one's called GUMAA, Beginning of Her. This is going to be a 7-issue series. This is about a young girl named Kalita. She escapes from a drug syndicate and discovers an ancient blade in a long abandoned temple. Well, she is going to use that blade or the power of that blade to become the goddess of the city, controlling the citizens through dark magic and fear. but events are being manipulated against her from the shadows. So this one sounds really cool. There are preview pages of this on Previews World if you want to go see a little bit of what it looks like, and it looks visually, it looks really cool. So I'm excited for this one.
Next up is a new horror book, Borealis. If you can't tell, this is set in Alaska, and it is about a state trooper named Syl who must return after 13 years. It sounds like to her hometown in Alaska, where there has been a series of mysterious and brutal murders that she has to investigate. But it sounds like those may be connected to something out in the Alaskan wilderness, and maybe she has a connection to that. So kind of one of your almost feels like The Thing or something
Oh
like
yeah.
that, out in the cold, horror, monsters, all of that. Sounds really cool. And it is written by the screenwriter of The Mask and The Swamp Thing.
Oh,
So very,
nice.
very cool in there.
Next is The Bloody Dozen, A Tale of the Shrouded College. This is going to be a 6-issue miniseries. This is another entry into Charles Soule's and Will Sliney's supernatural horror adventure saga called The Shrouded College. And in this one, there are 3 down-and-out astronauts who are tasked with breaking a group of deadly vampires out of a prison in space that's it's orbiting the sun, and they're going to have to rescue, or I guess, free some vampires from a prison there.
And of course, we had to talk about Spider Boy #2. #1 sold out at our store. At least all the A covers did, and we ordered a
Oh
lot.
yeah.
So this is a huge title. People are very excited about. So you don't want to miss pre-ordering this one. And in this issue, Spider Boy is going about his adventures fighting against Taskmaster, but also Spider Man gets a lesson in sidekicks from Captain America, which sounds
Oh,
really fun. And in the backup story, Spider-Boy teams up with Santa Claus to do some humbug butt kicking.
that's awesome.
So it just sounds so fun.
Yeah.
Issue 1 was so much fun. Another young hero character that's just full of energy. We just loved it around
Oh
here.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
don't miss out on pre-ordering Spider-Boy #2. And that is it for Top Comics to pre-order and Flash. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to head over to infinityflux.net where you can pre-order all these books right now. Also, stay tuned for our video coming up on Friday where we'll be going over these and so many other books that you don't want to miss out on. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time,
See ya.
see ya.